All right, now we move on to the other two likely top 100 nose tackles. I think both these guys are going to go in day two as well. So we're going to go with Siaki Ika to start off, the Baylor nose tackle, 22 years old, just like Mazi Smith. This guy's just a little bit bigger, 6'3", 335 pounds. That is a true blue nose tackle in terms of size, at least. 32 and 3/8 inch arms and 10 and a quarter inch hands. So arms a little bit shorter than Mozzie, and that is a little bit of a concern. And his hands are a little bit bigger. He did a little bit more at the combine compared to Mozzie Smith. He ran his 40. It was basically 5.4. His 10-yard shuttle, 1.88, a 7.83 cone, 4.99 20-yard shuttle. So actually not bad given how big he is, but you'd like to see a little bit more speed, especially given some of the stuff I'm about to talk about and when it comes to Ika. So these testing numbers are okay. Overall, I'd say like the 3 cone I think is all right. The 20-yard shuttle is okay. I wish the 40 was a little bit faster. Not that he's going to be running very many 40-yard sprints as a nose tackle, but like the 10-yard split can be a little bit telling. He's mostly a second rounder on the big boards. PFF has him early third, Tank second. ESPN has him in the early third. CBS late second. Sports Illustrated early third. The Draft Network has him actually late third. So overall, if you take all big boards into consideration across the internet, he's a late second round pick. We do have a late-ish second round pick, so Siaki Ika could be a target there in the bottom part of that second round. There are some big boards that think he'll be there in the third, and I'll speak about that possibility as well later in this video. But I would imagine he goes late second, maybe early third, if I had to guess. Over the last 2 years, he's played in 24 games, had 48 tackles, so he averages about 2 tackles a game. 2021 was his best season. He actually had 6 tackles for loss and 3.5 sacks. He was a bit of a playmaker. Um, Baylor's defense allowed 3.5 yards per carry on the ground, so it was a really good run defense. He had a really nice season. 2022, not as good. He didn't make nearly as many plays in the backfield, and the Baylor run defense was a little bit worse, 3.9 yards per carry. So Siaki Ika, definitely intriguing, if for no other reason than his size. And there are definitely some draws to him, but I will say this is a player that I've lost a little bit of interest in over the past few weeks here. So what I can say, though, is that Ika moves very well for his size on the field. For a guy who is 335 pounds and may get heavier by the time he starts playing in the league, he does move well. He is somebody who can actually make some plays. He's not just a space eater. In that regard, he is more flexible and versatile than a guy like Mozzie Smith, who I do like better. But this guy does flash some playmaking ability on top of being a space eating run stuffer. So there is more to his game, I think. He should be able to manhandle. He's going to have a pretty significant size advantage on most centers in the league, so he'll be able to win those battles all day. He's quick off the snap, actually quicker off the snap than Mozzie Smith, I think, which is going to help his playmaking. And he does pursue plays from the backside. This is not somebody who just stands in the middle and takes up space. He chases plays down. The issue that I'm starting to have with Siaki is that, well, first of all, his shorter arms create issues. When you're this much of a nose tackle, when you're this big, you kind of want to have longer arms so you can win those battles with offensive linemen. He has not the greatest arm length, so that creates issues. And honestly, even though he's big and he is strong and he does do some things well, he gets pushed around more than you would expect a guy of this size to do. Honestly, I don't know what Ika's real role is going to end up being in the NFL. Like, yeah, he looks like a run stuffer, but he often plays like a penetrator. So right now, I don't think he's stellar at either. His general technique is not great. I feel like I was watching some of the tape against, maybe it was Texas. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I was watching some of Ika's tape, and it does seem like he gets pushed around more than he should, given the fact that he has significant advantages physically over a lot of the guys he's going against. So it seems to me that he gets outsmarted sometimes by smaller, weaker linemen. And that's something that's going to take time. And we don't really have time, is the thing. We need a starter for day one at nose tackle, probably. Ika, to me, needs some time to figure out what he's going to be in the NFL, and he needs some time to develop the skills necessary to be that. So there's a lot of potential here. There's potential here for him to be a nose tackle who also makes some plays and does some penetration stuff. But he's got a lot to overcome to realize it. I don't think he's ready to be a block-eating nose tackle in the NFL. And while he is athletic for his size, he's not athletic overall, so he's not ready to be a playmaker either. So actually, after looking at Ika, I think he might be a little more of a project, which would be okay if we had a starting nose tackle on the team ready to go, but we don't. We have really nothing going on there. So ultimately, I would be a little uncomfortable taking him in the second round. I don't hate it. But if he slipped to our third round pick somehow, that would be more intriguing to me. Okay, the second guy we're going to take a look at here is Keeanu Benton. This is a guy a lot of Seahawks fans love with good reason. Wisconsin nose tackle. He's 22 years old, same age as the other two guys. 6'4", a little bit smaller, 309 pounds. But I'll tell you, he does a pretty good job of making it not matter. His arms are almost 34 inches long. Not as long as Mozzie, but longer than Ika. Hands, 9 3/4 inches. Fine. Ran a nice 40 time for a nose tackle. Sub 5.1. Good 10-yard split as well, 1.79. Vertical, I mean, he's a nose tackle. I don't know how much you're thinking about stuff like this, but almost 30-inch vert, 9'3" broad. His 3-cone was 7.34. Pretty good. Significantly better than like Ika, which you would expect, admittedly. 4.65 20-yard shuttle, so he moves pretty well for a nose. Bench press was 25, so okay. Not the best, not the worst. And the big boards, ESPN loves him. They think he's going to be a first-round pick. And then you have guys like CBS that currently have him in the fourth round. PFF and Tankathon have him in the third round. And then you've got Sports Illustrated and the Draft Network that have him in the second. So you average it all out, I think you're looking at a late second, early third. I think that he's right around there with Ika, and it just depends on your priority as a team at that point. But I think Benton is probably going to be a very late second or very early third, like Ika. I like him a little more than Ika after having a chance to look at him personally, but I'm not convinced he'll go higher. And here's the thing with Keeanu Benton. He's played 24 games over the last 2 seasons. He's accumulated 60 tackles across those 24 games, including 15 for loss. So this guy, especially in the most recent season, was a playmaker, a penetrator. He also accumulated 7 sacks over those 24 games. And most importantly, look at the run defense for the Wisconsin Badgers. 2.9 yards per carry last year, which is really good, but the year before it was way better, 2.1. This was maybe the best run defense in college football. And Keeanu Benton as the nose tackle was the primary reason why. So those numbers alone really speak for themselves. This guy was a transformational piece for this Wisconsin run defense. And even though it jumped up significantly in 2022, it was so good to start with, it doesn't really matter. So honestly, Mozzie Smith is the best nose tackle. Keeanu Benton might be the best value because you could get him in the early third or late second, whereas Mozzie Smith, you'll be lucky to get him at this rate at the early second. So let's talk about Benton a little bit as a player, pros and cons, but I'll tell you this right now, this guy has really grown on me. When I started out, I wasn't really sure what to make of him, but now I'm actually very positive about him. He's very hard to move out of the middle. I was watching... If you need to be sold on Keeanu Benton, I would recommend watching the Michigan State tape. I watched the Michigan State tape, and like the game starts, and he's making the play at the line of scrimmage on the running back. He's making the play at the line of scrimmage. First play, second play, third. I was like, wow, this guy, he's making every play. This is a good team, too. I mean, Michigan State wasn't great last year, but it's not like Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's a real school. And he is making every play out there. And on passing plays, he's being disruptive as well. He's getting into the backfield, disrupting the quarterback. It felt like he was in on every play where he was actually on the field. He's extremely strong and disruptive to blocking schemes. He's got decent length, which gives him an advantage. He can blow up his offensive linemen with his raw strength. I know his strength didn't show as much as Mozzie Smith, but he can blow up linemen as well. He's got a good understanding how to use his hands. And he does show, like I said, some potential as a playmaker. Over the last 2 years, 15 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. That that is well above expectations for a typical 3-4 nose. So he is smaller, which I did point out earlier, but honestly, in the modern NFL, smaller nose tackles might be the wave of the future. I think you're starting to see less 350-pound guys, even at the 3-4 nose position. So, a lot to like there. Now, the issues with Benton would be he's still not a great pass rusher. He's not going to blow anybody away with that. He's not going to ever be like a Jay Ratliff type player who was getting nearly double-digit sacks from the nose tackle spot. He's not a great athlete. I think he's a pretty good athlete for what he is as a nose tackle. But if you didn't watch him play on the field, I will say, if you looked at a player who was 310 pounds and put up these numbers at the combine, you wouldn't be all that impressed. You need to actually see that, oh yeah, he's an awesome nose tackle. And I do expect that early on he will probably be a two-down player, even though he does show some signs of being able to be a playmaker and even a gap penetrator at times. I don't think it's going to be something that is from day one making a big impact. He'll probably start as a run stuffing defender and maybe develop into a full three-down player. So it's nothing too bad. Again, kind of like Mozzie Smith, right? Kind of like Mozzie Smith. The issues with him are purely he's not going to be a great a pass rusher at first, but he should be great against the run, and that's really what we care about here. So I would say, despite his lackluster size for a true nose tackle, he is pretty much as good as it gets in interior run defense and has upside. I think you get him, he is immediately a great contributor and can develop into something even better than that. So I would consider him a prime third round target, and I would even be okay with spending that late second pick on him. All right, that's what I got for these guys. See you guys tomorrow. Go Hawks.